Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to have a blast matching some colorful images with their names. Are you ready? Let's dive right in and get started with the fun. Let's take a look at the first slide. On the left side, we have some colorful images. On the right side, we have some words written down. We have pictures of a CD, a floppy disk, and an envelope. Our job is to match each picture with its correct name. Which one matches with the flat paper-like object? It's the envelope. What about the square-shaped object with a little hole in the middle? It's the floppy disk. Which one do you think matches with the picture of the round shiny disk? It's the CD, compact disc. On our second slide, we have three interesting images. First, we have an image of the number 8. What do you think its name is? It's 8. E-I-G-H-T. Next, there's a bright shining image. It's looked like a big ball of fire in the sky during the day. What could it be? It's the sun. Lastly, there's an image of a sparkling object we often see twinkling in the night sky. It's the star. On our third slide, we have three interesting images. First, we have an image of two numbers, 4 and 3 side by side. What do you think this combination represents? It's the number 43. F-O-R-T-Y-T-H-R-E-E. Next, there's an adorable furry animal with pointy ears and a long tail. Can you guess its name? It's the cat. Lastly, we have a flying machine that travels high up in the sky. What do we call this? It's an aeroplane. On the next slide, we have three interesting images. First, we have a round object often used in sports. Can you guess its name? It's the ball. Next, there's a spherical representation of the earth showing continents and oceans. What do we call this? It's the globe. Lastly, we have a massive celestial body that orbits around a star, just like our earth orbits the sun. What its name? It's a planet. On this slide, we have three interesting images. Number 1, there's a common household item that provides light when connected to electricity. What it's called? It's the bulb. Number 2, we have a round rubber object often found on vehicles. What it's called? It's the tire. Number 3, we have a tool used for cleaning our teeth. What do we call this? It's the toothbrush. On this slide, we have three interesting images. Number 1, there's an item we wear on our feet. What do we call this? It's the shoe. Number 2, we have a portable electronic device that allows us to walk, play and communicate. What do we call this? It's the laptop. Lastly, we have an accessory used to carry items such as books, clothes or groceries. What it's called? It's the bag. On this slide, we have three different images. First, we have a hardware component of a computer. What do we call this? It's the CPU. Next, we have a beautiful flower. Can you guess its name? It's the rose. Lastly, we have a stylish accessory worn to protect the eyes from the sun rays. What's its name? It's the sunglass. On this slide, we have three interesting images. First, there's a large vehicle used to transport people from one place to another. What do we call this? It's the bus. Number 2, we have a delicious frozen treat enjoyed on hot days. What do we call this? It's the ice cream. Lastly, we have a beautiful place where water falls down from a high place. What's its name? It's the waterfall. On this slide, we have three interesting images. Number 1, there's an object we use to hang clothes in our closet. What do we call this? It's the hanger. Number 2, a small container used to hold colorful liquid for painting nails. What do we call this? It's the nail polish. Number 3, a container used to store liquids. What do we call this? It's the bottle. On this slide, we have three different images. First, a round juicy red fruit. What do we call this delicious fruit? It's the apple. Second, a starchy vegetable that grows underground and is commonly used in cooking. Can you guess its name? It's the potato. Lastly, a tall plant with a long woody trunk and green leaves at the top, known for producing a large brown fruit with a hard shell and a white flesh inside. What's the name of this plant? It's the coconut tree. On this slide, we have three interesting images. First, a device used for communication over long distances by voice. What do we call this device? It's the telephone. Next, a large desert-dwelling mammal known for its distinctive hump and a long neck. Can you guess its name? It's the camel. Lastly, a device used to amplify sound, often used for public speaking or recording. What do we call this? It's the microphone. On this slide, we have three different images. First, a cozy piece of furniture where we sleep at night. What do we call this? It's the bed. Next, a structure made by birds for them to lay their eggs and raise their young. Can you guess its name? It's the nest. Lastly, a big bird that hunts for food by finding dead animals. Can you guess its name? It's the vulture. On this slide, we have three different images. Number one, we have a set of keys arranged for typing on a computer. What do we call this device? It's the keyboard. Second, a beautiful flower often associated with purity and enlightenment. Can you guess its name? It's the lotus. Lastly, a large natural landform that rises high above its surroundings. What's the name of this geographical feature? It's the mountain. On this slide, we have three different images. First, a soft cushion used for resting our head while sleeping. What do we call this? It's the pillow. Next, a piece of furniture designed for sitting. What do we call this? It's the chair. Lastly, a container made of woven material used for carrying or storing items. What's the name of this object? It's the basket. On this slide, we have three different musical instruments. First, an instrument with strings that is used in many types of music. What do we call this instrument? It's the guitar. Next, a pair of two small drums. What do we call this? It's the tabla. Lastly, a large barrel-shaped drum. What do we call this? It's the dhol. On this slide, we have three different images. First, a long thin tool used for writing or drawing. What do we call this? It's the pencil. Next, a small soft tool used to remove pencil marks. What do we call this? It's the eraser. Lastly, a sweet tropical fruit with orange flesh and black seeds inside. What do we call this? It's the papaya. On this slide, we have three different animals. First, a large reptile with a long snout and a sharp teeth, often found in or near water. What do we call this animal? It's the crocodile. Next, a small mammal known for its playful behavior, often seen swinging from trees. Can you guess its name? It's the monkey. Lastly, a water bird commonly found swimming in ponds or lakes. What's the name of this bird? It's the duck. On this slide, we have three different objects. First, a large flat surface typically used for writing or drawing with chalk. What do we call this object? It's the blackboard. Next, a medical instrument used for listening sounds within the body, such as heartbeat or breathing. Can you guess its name? It's the stethoscope. Lastly, a container typically made of ceramic or metal used for cooking or storing food. What's the name of this object? It's the pot. On this slide, we have three different items. First, a structure where people live. What do we call this? It's the house. Next, a drinking vessel often used for hot beverages like tea or coffee. What do we call this? It's the cup. Lastly, we have delicious edible items that come from plants and are often sweet or juicy. What's the general name for these items? They are fruits. On this slide, we have three different objects. First, a round red vegetable often used in salads and cooking. What do we call this? It's the tomato. Next, a long curved fruit with yellow skin. Can you guess its name? It's the banana. Lastly, a device used to secure doors. What's the name of this object? It's the lock. Thank you for joining us. I hope you had a great time. See you in the next video. Goodbye.